There are places in America that seem untouched by time, where the modern world fades at the mountain's edge and life is lived as it was 100 years ago. This was the world of Tara Westover. Raised in a strict survivalist household, she had never set foot in a classroom, never received a birth certificate, never seen a doctor. Her father believed the government was the enemy, public education was a tool of brainwashing, and that one day the world as they knew it would collapse. But something stirred inside Tara, an unshakable hunger for knowledge, for a life beyond the mountains. Her journey from isolation to academia would become one of the most extraordinary stories of self-invention, told in her best-selling memoir, Educated. Yet beneath the triumph of her academic achievement lies a deeper struggle. The psychological cost of breaking free, the mental scars of childhood trauma, and the resilience of the human spirit. Tara was born in 1986, the youngest of 7 children, in the remote town of Clifton, Idaho. To the outside world, she did not exist. No birth certificate, no medical records, no school enrollment. Her father, Gene, a deeply religious survivalist, preached that the government was corrupt and the end of days was near. Her mother, Faye, practiced as an unlicensed midwife and herbalist, believing God, not doctors, would heal their wounds. In the Westover home, education was not taught, but faith was law. The King James Bible and the Book of Mormon were her only textbooks. Science, history, and literature were distant concepts. Instead of learning mathematics, she learned to prepare for the apocalypse. Instead of history, she learned the signs of the end times. What emerged from this isolation was not just educational deprivation, but also profound psychological effects, a distorted sense of reality, a fear of the outside world, and a fractured relationship with her own sense of self. The cost of this upbringing extended beyond knowledge. Child development experts recognize that isolation from peers, lack of access to health care, and living under constant fear creates trauma responses that can persist into adulthood. For Tara, this meant struggling with trust, grappling with complex trauma, and later, learning to identify and heal from these deep psychological wounds. Despite the world her parents had built for her, knowledge found a way in. It began with her older brother, Tyler, the first to break free. He had taught himself enough math and science to enroll in college, a radical act in their home. And as he packed his bags to leave, he planted a thought in Tara's mind. You could go too. She taught herself music, algebra, and trigonometry, hunched over borrowed textbooks in the dark. Her only teacher, the stubborn fire inside her. And when she took the ACT against all odds, she passed. But this period also marked the beginning of her mental health journey. The act of seeking education became an act of rebellion, carrying with it anxiety, guilt, and internal conflict. She was questioning everything she had been taught, a process that in psychology is called cognitive restructuring. The mind, when it begins to question its foundational beliefs, experiences both liberation and tremendous psychological stress. For the first time in her life, Tara sat in a classroom. She had fought for this moment, but she was not prepared for what she found. The world spoke in a language she barely understood. She had never heard of the civil rights movement. She had never learned about the Holocaust. She had never been taught how to separate fact from belief. This transition, while intellectually transformative, became mentally devastating. What Tara experienced is recognized in mental health circles as a form of identity crisis. She was processing not just new information, but also recognizing that much of what defined her reality was false. This cognitive dissonance, the painful gap between old beliefs and new realities, triggered what many trauma survivors experience: anxiety, depression, and a profound sense of displacement. Her professors noticed a brilliant mind, but one that was struggling. She was processing decades of misinformation simultaneously, with the shock of entering a world completely foreign to her understanding. The psychological weight of this double burden cannot be overstated. What Tara had to learn was not just academic material, but also emotional regulation and social connection. She had to unlearn the fear of doctors and embrace professional mental health support. She had to confront her own trauma while simultaneously excelling academically. This is a delicate balance that many survivors of extreme isolation never achieve, but she did. Tara's education came at a cost. Her father called it betrayal. Her mother begged her to repent. Her older brother, Sean, turned violent, threatening her to silence the truths she had begun to tell. To stay meant erasing herself. To leave meant losing her family forever. What Tara navigated here is a profound mental health challenge, the complex trauma of family estrangement. This is not a simple problem with a simple solution. Psychological research on family trauma reveals that severing family ties, even when necessary for survival and mental health, carries its own psychological burden. Tara experienced grief, guilt, and loss alongside relief and liberation. These contradictory emotions are valid, and they are not signs of weakness or indecision. They are the normal response to an abnormal situation. In the end, she made the hardest choice of all. She walked away, but walking away was not the end of her journey. It was the beginning of her healing journey. She sought professional mental health support, a courageous step that many survivors of childhood trauma struggle to take. She began to understand that her hypervigilance, her difficulty trusting others, her fear of authority figures, her struggles with intimacy were not personal failures, but trauma responses. Recognition is the first step toward healing. In 2014, Tara sat with pen in hand, unraveling her life. Educated flowed not as vengeance, but as understanding. She traced the scrapyard's grit, Sean's rage, Tyler's gift, her own rebirth. Random House believed in her vision, and on February 20th, 2018, it launched. The impact was meteoric. Over 8 million copies sold, translated into 45 languages, including Korean, Arabic, and Welsh. The New York Times crowned it one of the decade's best. President Obama and Oprah both celebrated it. But what makes Educated truly powerful is its unflinching honesty about mental health. Tara did not shy away from discussing her trauma, her struggle with depression, her journey through therapy. She made mental health a central part of her narrative, not as something shameful, but as something human and survivable. The ripple effect of Educated extended far beyond book sales. A girl in Utah read it and found the courage to leave her own cult. Tara showed me how to value my own mind, she wrote. A veteran in Texas read it and finally sought help for his PTSD. Teachers began using it in psychology courses to discuss trauma, resilience, and recovery. Book clubs wrestled not just with her choices, but with their own beliefs about family, identity, and the courage it takes to choose yourself. In 2026, Tara's story continues to shape conversations in classrooms and therapy offices. At 38 years old, she speaks on TED stages and in quiet halls. She talks about how education saved her, yes, but also about how mental health awareness saved her. She talks about the power of naming your trauma, seeking help, and choosing your own future. She lost a family in the biological sense, but she gained a world of connection, understanding, and purpose. Her story is proof that you can love someone deeply and still choose to walk away. It is proof that healing is possible, even after the deepest wounds. It is proof that the human mind, when given the chance, is capable of extraordinary growth.